Hi, everybody. It's really an honor to be here. My name is Natalie Campbell, and I'm with the Internet Society.
Hi, good morning. It is definitely an honor to be here. We're really happy to be guests on this land. My name is Erin. I'm a consultant with the Indigenous Connectivity Institute, and yeah, thank you. Welcome for coming.
So I work at the Internet Society as Senior Director for North American Government Affairs, but I've been lucky to be involved with the Indigenous Connectivity Summit for many years now. Some of you might remember that the Internet Society was the initial home of the Indigenous Connectivity Summit, but it grew so successful over the years that it turned into its own community and now has a new home with the Indigenous Connectivity Institute. So over the years with the Indigenous Connectivity Summit, one of the things that makes this unique, aside from the fact that we're all here for similar goals to see connectivity advance in Indigenous communities in ways that are relevant to communities and that meet community needs, this conference is really unique because there's actually an output that helps us get further towards those goals when the conference ends. The work happens here, but it also doesn't end here. It happens in between the Indigenous Connectivity Summits. So Erin and I are going to introduce a bit about how we go about developing Indigenous Connectivity Summit policy recommendations, which help us further the work in between summits, both folks who work at the Indigenous Connectivity Institute, but everyone else that works in this space. This kind of gives us a reference point to understand what are some of the concrete asks and needs that the community has expressed to help us get further towards our shared goals of faster, more affordable, reliable, and internet in Indigenous communities. So we have been developing these for several years now, and the way we usually do these is we try to be as inclusive as possible. They are not only helpful to folks who work in advocacy proper, for example, in policy advocacy, but they're for anybody who does advocacy. And advocacy there's all kinds of advocacy. So we really try and be inclusive and welcome everyone who is interested in contributing to these, who's present, whether you have a policy background, technical background, whatever it may be. If you're interested in contributing, everyone has something to say. You don't need to be an expert to understand what needs to happen to further our shared goals. And what we'll do throughout this summit is at the end of each day, we will gather and just debrief on some of the themes of the day, anything that stood out, and kind of gather notes about what are some of the things that might help us update both last year's call to actions, but also where there might be new calls to action that need to happen based on some of the discussions we have today and current events. So that's how we're going to approach it at 4:45 today, and at the end of each day, we're going to, for anyone who wants to be included, we'll meet back here, we'll debrief, share outtakes, take notes, and then at the end of this, we'll refresh the calls to action and share them out with the wider community for review, and those become our marching orders for us at the Internet Society. We take these calls to action at heart. The Internet Society is an organization that makes sure the Internet's for everyone, and a big part of our work in North America is making sure to further connectivity in Indigenous communities. So we really take these to heart because you can't get any better than getting these messages from the community in terms of what the needs are to further these goals, which are very much at the heart of the Internet Society, but they're also useful for anybody else who does advocacy in a space as well, in whatever form or shape that looks like. So, Erin, you want to say a few words?
Well said. I think the only thing I'll add is, so during the pre-ICS policy trainings that we ran, for folks that did attend, it was a really good discussion each week, so thank you so much for attending, and next year, please attend, because it's awesome. Someone had mentioned, as we were going through some terms relative to policy and advocacy and things like that, someone had asked, what is the difference between a call to action, which these are, or a policy recommendation, which, a call to action can be a policy recommendation. But I was a little bit stumped by that question, and we had a participant also share that, a call to action can mean something that we all need to contribute to and that we all need to do versus a policy recommendation that might be just something that we want government to do or someone in charge to do. So I hope that we can take that lens as we approach the calls to action development, where it is actually something that we both want, authority or people who are in charge of policy to work on, but also things that as community we can work on, as institutions, as organizations, and as advocates. So I hope that that lens also, lends a little bit of maybe, calmness to the the approach of developing recommendations when it actually just means, what do you want to see in respect to connectivity in your community? What do you want to see in your personal and your family? What do you want to see in terms of connectivity to the internet? And how would you like all of us as a collective to be working towards that?
Thanks, Erin. Very well said. So if you hear me call them policy recommendations, just note that that was former language we used to use until we transitioned to calls to action, which is way more inclusive and way more recognizing that it's not just policymakers who can do something to help us further our goals. Every sector, every person can make a difference and can contribute to our shared goals. So if you're interested, please join us at 4:45 today. We'll meet back here. It'll be super chill, super informal, and I look forward to speaking with you all over the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you so much.